For 23 years, I thought I had the perfect relationship with my son and his wife. Let me take you back to where this all began, so you understand just how deeply this betrayal cut. My name is Helen, and I'm 62 years old. I raised my son Michael as a single mother after my husband passed away when Michael was only 7. It was just the two of us against the world. I worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3 during the holidays, to make sure he had everything he needed. I never remarried. Michael was my whole world. When he met Rachel in college, I was thrilled. She came from a good family, had a bright smile, and seemed to genuinely love my son. I welcomed her with open arms. I helped plan their wedding, even paid for half of it because her parents were going through financial troubles. I didn't mind. I wanted my son to be happy after they got married. I made it a point never to be the interfering mother-in-law. I'd heard all the horror stories. I gave them space, only visited when invited, and always asked before dropping by. I babysat their 3 kids whenever they needed, sometimes on a moment's notice. I never complained, never asked for gas money or anything in return. When their youngest daughter had health problems as a baby, I was there every single night at the hospital. I held Rachel while she cried, told her everything would be okay, prayed with her. We bonded during those difficult months. Or at least I thought we did. I helped them buy their first house. When they were short on the down payment, I took out a loan against my own small home to help them. They promised to pay me back, but I told them not to worry about it. Family helps family, I said. Every birthday, every holiday, every school event, I was there. I was the grandma who showed up to every soccer game, every dance recital, every school play. I baked cookies with the kids, taught them how to garden, took them to the park every Saturday. My son and Rachel would often tell me how grateful they were. Rachel would hug me and call me Mom. She'd post pictures of us on social media with captions like, "Best mother-in-law in the world," and "So blessed to have this woman in our lives." I believed it all. Looking back now, I wonder if I was just fooling myself. Were there signs I missed? Were there moments when I should have seen the truth beneath the smiles? The barbecue was supposed to celebrate Michael's promotion at work. He'd finally made partner at his law firm, something we'd both dreamed about since he was in high school. I was so proud. I'd spent the whole previous day preparing his favorite dishes, my special potato salad, homemade coleslaw, and my famous apple pie. I arrived at their house early that Saturday morning to help set up. Rachel seemed a bit distant, but I figured she was just stressed about hosting. Their backyard looked beautiful with string lights and colorful tablecloths. Family and friends started arriving around noon. Everything seemed perfect. The kids were running around playing tag, Michael was grilling with his friends, and I was in the kitchen with Rachel and her mother preparing side dishes. That's when I noticed something odd. Rachel's mother kept giving me strange looks, almost pitying glances. When I asked if everything was okay, she just smiled nervously and changed the subject. Then came the moment that changed everything. I was at the kitchen counter, slicing tomatoes for the salad when Rachel moved closer to me. She positioned herself, so her back was to everyone else, blocking their view. Her face was completely calm, almost cold. She leaned in close, so close I could smell her perfume, and whispered those devastating words, "After today, we're cutting you off. We don't need you anymore." I froze. The knife in my hand stopped mid-slice. I must have looked confused because she gave me a small, tight smile and walked away, calling out cheerfully to one of the guests. Did I hear that correctly? Was she joking? It had to be some kind of misunderstanding. I tried to catch her eye several times throughout the afternoon, but she avoided looking at me directly. She was playing the perfect hostess, laughing and chatting with everyone. While I felt like I was drowning in confusion, that's when I decided to check my phone, thinking maybe she'd sent me a message explaining what she meant, what I saw made. My blood run cold. My hands shook as I stared at my phone screen. Rachel's contact was gone, completely deleted. Her number, her photos, our entire text history vanished as if our relationship had never existed. I thought maybe it was a glitch. I went to my recent calls. Her number was still there from when she'd called me 2 days ago to confirm what I should bring to the barbecue. I saved it again, my fingers trembling, then I opened our family group chat. I was no longer in it. I'd been removed. My chest felt tight. This couldn't be happening. There had to be some explanation. Maybe her phone had issues? Maybe she accidentally removed me while trying to add someone else? I looked up from my phone and scanned the backyard. Rachel was laughing with her sisters, holding a glass of wine. Michael was flipping burgers, completely oblivious. The kids were happy, playing on their swing set. Everything looked normal. Perfect, even. Except nothing was normal anymore. I decided to approach Michael first. He would clear this up. He was my son. We'd been through everything together. I walked over to the grill, trying to appear casual. "Honey, can I talk to you?" "For a minute?" He glanced at me briefly, then back at the burgers. "Kind of busy right now, Mom. Can it wait?" "It's important." He sighed, the kind of annoyed sigh that made me feel like I was bothering him. "What is it?" I lowered my voice. "Did Rachel say something to you about, I don't know, needing some space or something?" "Space?" He flipped the burger aggressively. "What are you talking about?" "She just said something strange to me, and I noticed I'm not in the family group chat anymore." Michael's jaw tightened. He set down his spatula and finally looked at me. His eyes weren't warm like usual. They were hard, almost irritated. "We were going to talk to you about this later, but since you're bringing it up now, ... He paused, looking uncomfortable. "We think it's time you gave us more independence. You're always around, always involved in everything." I felt like I'd been slapped. "What? I only come when you invite me. I help when you ask." "That's the problem. Mom, we never really have to ask. You're just always there. The kids are getting older now. They don't need a babysitter constantly. And Rachel's mom wants to spend more time with them too." So that was it. Rachel's mother wanted to be the primary grandmother, and I was being pushed out. "Michael, I've never tried to take anyone's place. I just love spending time with my grandchildren." "No, but it's too much. We need you to step back. Way back." Each word felt like a knife. This was my son, the boy I'd sacrificed everything for, telling me I was too much, that my love was suffocating. "For how long?" I managed to ask. "We don't. No, we'll call you when we're ready." "When you're ready. Michael, these are my grandchildren too. I have rights." His face darkened. "Rights? You don't have legal rights, Mom. They're our children. We decide who gets to see them and when." The conversation was attracting attention. Now, a few guests had stopped talking and were watching us. Rachel was walking toward us, her expression concerned, but I could see the calculation in her eyes. "Is everything okay?" she asked sweetly, touching Michael's arm. "Everything's fine," Michael said firmly. "Mom was just leaving." "Leaving? But we haven't even eaten yet," I said, my voice cracking. "I think it's better if you go," Rachel said softly, almost kindly, which somehow made it worse. "We'll pack you some food to take home?" I looked around at all the guests watching this unfold. Some looked uncomfortable, others looked away. Rachel's mother was smirking slightly, barely hiding her satisfaction. My son, my only child, was asking me to leave his celebration. In front of everyone, I had two choices: make a scene or leave with dignity. I chose dignity. At least that's what I told myself. I don't remember walking to my car. I don't remember saying goodbye to anyone. I just remember sitting in my driver's seat, staring at the steering wheel, trying to process what had just happened. My phone buzzed. For a moment, hope surged through me. Maybe Michael had come to his senses. Maybe he was calling to apologize. It was a text from a number I didn't recognize. "This is Rachel. I got a new phone. Just so you know, we meant what we said. Please respect our boundaries." A new phone? She'd had the same number for 10 years. This was a lie. She'd simply blocked me on her real number and was using a different one to deliver this final message. I started the car and drove. I didn't go home immediately. I couldn't. The thought of walking into my empty house, surrounded by photos of my grandchildren, was too much. Instead, I drove to the cemetery where my husband was buried. I hadn't been there in months. I parked and walked to his headstone, the grass crunching under my feet. "I messed up, David," I said out loud, not caring if anyone heard me. "I loved them too much. I gave too much. And now they're throwing me away like garbage. The tears finally came. Big, ugly sobs that shook my whole body. I sat on the ground, next to his grave, and cried for everything I'd lost. Not just today, but all the tomorrows I wouldn't have with my grandchildren. I thought about all the moments I'd miss. Birthday parties, first days of school, graduations, weddings. Would I even be invited to those? After an hour, maybe two, I stood up. My knees ached. My eyes were swollen, but something had shifted inside me. I'd spent 23 years putting Michael and his family first. I'd forgotten how to put myself first. Maybe it was time to remember. I drove home and walked straight to my bedroom. I pulled out a box from under my bed, a box I hadn't opened in years. Inside were all the loan documents, the receipts, the records of every penny I'd spent helping Michael and Rachel over the years, the down payment help. $15,000. The hospital bills I'd covered when their insurance denied claims. $8,000. The new roof I'd paid for when theirs leaked. $12,000. The car I bought them when Rachel's broke down. $9,000. Countless hours of free babysitting. If I'd charged even minimum wage, it would have been thousands more. I wasn't counting because I wanted the money back. I was counting because I needed to see the truth in black and white. I needed proof that I hadn't imagined my own generosity, total over $50,000. Not to mention the emotional investment, the time, the love, and they'd thrown me away. I made myself a cup of tea and sat at my kitchen table. I had to decide what kind of person I wanted to be moving forward. I could be the victim, crying and begging for them to take me back, or I could be something else. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Rachel's new number. Also, we'd appreciate it if you didn't contact Michael at work. He needs to focus on his new position. That message changed something in me. It wasn't just hurt anymore. It was anger. Pure, justified anger. They wanted me to disappear quietly, to accept this rejection without question. To make it easy for them, I thought about my late husband, about what he would say if he were here. David was always a fighter. He never let anyone treat him poorly, family or not. I opened my laptop and started typing. I began documenting everything. Every conversation, every dollar spent, every promise made and broken. I wasn't sure yet what I'd do with this information, but I knew I needed a record. Then I did something I hadn't done in 23 years. I put myself first, and that decision would change everything. The week after the barbecue was the longest of my life. I waited for a phone call that never came. An apology that never arrived. Some acknowledgement that what they'd done was cruel. Nothing. I went through my normal routine like a zombie. I watered my garden, went to the grocery store, cleaned my house, but everything felt empty. Every activity reminded me of what I'd lost. Tuesday morning, I was watering the tomato plants I'd been growing to make sauce for the kids when I started crying again. These tomatoes were supposed to be for them. I'd planted them because my youngest granddaughter loved my homemade spaghetti sauce. What was the point of any of this now? I almost called Michael a dozen times. My finger would hover over his number, ready to press it, ready to apologize for whatever I'd done wrong, ready to beg for another chance, but each time I'd remember his cold eyes at the barbecue, the way he'd told me I had no rights, the way Rachel had smirked while kicking me out, and I'd put the phone down. On Wednesday, something interesting happened. I ran into Linda, another mom from Michael's childhood. Our sons had played soccer together years ago. We'd lost touch after the boys went to college. "Helen," she called out in the grocery store. "I haven't seen you in forever. How are you?" "How's Michael?" I must have hesitated too long because her smile faded. "Is everything okay?" And right there, in the middle of the cereal aisle, I told her everything. I don't know why. Maybe I just needed someone to know what happened. Someone to tell me I wasn't crazy. Linda listened quietly, her expression growing more shocked with each detail. "Wait," she said when I finished. "They kicked you out of a family party after everything you've done for them?" "Maybe I was too involved," I said, repeating what Michael had told me. "Too involved? Helen, you're a grandmother." "That's what grandmothers do. My daughter-in-law practically begs me to take the kids more often." She shook her head. This isn't normal. Something else is going on. Like what? I don't know, but people don't just cut off their parents for being too helpful. There's more to this story. Her words stuck with me. Was she right? Was there something Michael and Rachel weren't telling me? That night I did something I'm not proud of. I checked Michael's social media, something I rarely did. His profile was private, but I could see his profile picture had changed. It was him and Rachel at some fancy restaurant, dressed up, looking happy. I checked Rachel's page. Also private now, it used to be public. She'd blocked me from seeing anything, but I noticed something. Rachel's sister's page was still public, and there, posted just 2 days ago, was a photo that made my blood boil. It was Rachel's mother at their house in my kitchen, wearing an apron I'd given Rachel for Christmas. She was baking with my grandchildren. The caption read, "Grammy's first baking day with the babies. So glad we can finally do this regularly." Finally? Regularly? I read through the comments. Rachel had replied, "Mom, the kids loved it." Same. Time next week? The pieces clicked into place. This wasn't about me being too involved. This was about Rachel's mother wanting to be the primary grandmother. And Rachel had chosen her own mother over me. I couldn't even be angry at that logic. I understood a woman wanting her own mother around. But why did that mean I had to be completely cut off? I kept scrolling and found another photo from the barbecue. Everyone was there, smiling, having a good time. The caption from one of Rachel's friends, "Best party ever, can't wait for the next one." The next one, they were planning more family gatherings. Without me, I closed my laptop and made a decision. If they wanted me gone, I'd be gone, completely, but I wouldn't go quietly. Thursday morning, I woke up with clarity I hadn't felt in weeks. I knew exactly what I needed to do. First, I called my lawyer. Well, he wasn't technically my lawyer anymore. David had used him years ago for our estate planning, but Robert still practiced law, and he remembered me. "Helen, what a pleasant surprise. How can I help you?" "I need legal advice." "About grandparent rights." There was a pause. "Oh, I see. Tell me what's going on." I explained everything. He listened carefully, occasionally asking questions. "Here's the situation," Robert finally said. "Grandparent rights vary by state, and they're generally hard to enforce unless you can prove the parents are unfit or there are special circumstances. Since Michael and Rachel are married and there's no indication of abuse or neglect, a court probably won't grant you visitation rights." My heart sank. "However," he continued, "there's something else we can discuss. You mentioned you've given them significant financial help over the years. Did you have any written agreements? Any loan documents?" "Most of it was just help." "Family. Helping family?" "But the house down payment, I did take a formal loan against my property for that. They signed a promissory note saying they'd pay me back. Do you still have that document?" "Yes, in my safe." "Then technically they owe you that money. You could legally request repayment." I thought about this. "Would that help me see my grandchildren?" "Probably not. But it might open up a conversation. Sometimes people don't appreciate what they have until they realize what it cost." I thanked Robert and hung up. I wasn't sure I wanted to go the legal route, but it was good to know I had options. Next, I did something that felt even more radical. I called my sister Jennifer, who lived in Arizona. We'd grown apart over the years, mainly because I'd been so focused on Michael's family that I'd neglected my own relationships. "Jean, it's Helen. Oh my God, is everything okay? You never call?" And there it was, the truth. I never called. I'd been so consumed with being the perfect mother and grandmother that I'd forgotten I had a life beyond that. "Actually, nothing's okay. Can we talk?" We talked for 3 hours. I told her everything, and she listened without judgment. "So what are you going to do?" she asked. "I don't know. Part of me wants to fight for my relationship with my grandkids. Part of me wants to just disappear like they want. Can I be honest? With you, Helen, you've always given too much. Even when we were kids, you were the one taking care of everyone else. Mom, Dad, me, you never learned to take care of yourself." "That's not true, isn't it? When was the last time you did something? Just for yourself?" When was the last time you went on a vacation? Made a new friend? Pursued a hobby that wasn't about being useful to someone else? I couldn't answer. Maybe, Jennifer said gently, this is the universe telling you it's time to live for yourself. After we hung up, I sat in silence. She was right. I'd built my entire identity around being needed. What happened when nobody needed me anymore? That afternoon, I went to my bedroom and looked at myself in the mirror. Really looked, I was 62 years old. I had gray hair I'd been meaning to color. I wore the same style of clothes I'd worn for 20 years. I had no hobbies except gardening, which I only did to grow vegetables for my family. Who was I without them? I decided to find out. I called the travel agency in town and booked a trip. 2 weeks in Italy. Something I'd always dreamed about but never done because I was always available for babysitting or family events. I joined a book club at the local library. I signed up for a watercolor painting class. And then I did the hardest thing of all. I wrote Michael a letter. The letter took me 5 hours to write. I rewrote it a dozen times, trying to find the right words that were honest but not cruel, hurt but not vindictive. Here's what I finally sent. Dear Michael, I've spent the past 2 weeks trying to understand what happened at your barbecue. I've replayed every conversation, every interaction, trying to figure out what I did wrong. I want you to know that I respect your decision to have boundaries. If I was too involved, I apologize. That was never my intention. I only wanted to be a good mother and grandmother, but I need you to understand something too. The way you and Rachel handled this was cruel. You could have had a kind conversation with me weeks or months ago. Instead, you humiliated me in front of your friends and family. You treated me like a stranger who had overstayed her welcome. I am your mother. I deserve better than that. I've decided to give you the space you asked for. I won't call, won't text, won't show up uninvited, but I need you to know that space works both ways. I'm taking this time to rebuild my own life, to rediscover who I am beyond being mom and grandma. I've also made some other decisions. The $15,000 I loaned you for your house down payment is legally still owed to me. I have the promissory note you signed. I'm requesting that you begin making payments of $500 per month until it's repaid. This isn't about the money. It's about recognizing that my help had value, that I had value. I love you. I always will. But love doesn't mean accepting mistreatment. When and if you're ready to have a real conversation about what happened and why, I'll be here, but I won't be waiting by the phone. I have a life to live. Mom, I mailed it on a Friday. By Monday, my phone rang. It was Michael. Mom, we need to talk about this letter. I agree. What would you like to talk about? The loan repayment. That's not fair. You said we didn't have to pay you back. I said not to worry about it at the time. But circumstances have changed. You made it clear I'm not family anymore. This is a business transaction now. That's ridiculous. You can't just... I can, Michael. I spoke to a lawyer. The promissory note is legally binding. There was a long silence. Is this really about the money? He asked quietly. No, it's about you realizing that your actions have consequences. You can't use people and then throw them away. We didn't use. You... didn't you? $15,000 for the house? $8,000 for medical bills. $12,000 for your roof. Thousands of hours of free childcare. And the second Rachel's mother wanted to be more involved. I became disposable. Another long silence. Rachel's mom has cancer, he finally said. Everything stopped. What? She was diagnosed 3 months ago? Stage 3? She's doing treatment. The doctors don't know how long she has. She wants to spend as much time with the grandkids as possible. Rachel wanted to make sure her mom got that time. I sat down, my legs suddenly weak. Why didn't you tell me? Because Rachel didn't want anyone to know. She's very private about it. And honestly, Mom, she was afraid you'd try to take over. Try to help, try to fix everything like you always do. So, instead, you just cut me out completely? We handled it badly. I know that now. Rachel knows it too. We didn't know how to balance everything. You could have talked to me. No, you could have trusted me to understand. I know. We both sat there in silence. two people who loved each other but had hurt each other deeply. What happens now? I asked. I don't know, Mom, but maybe we can figure it out together. It wasn't a perfect ending. There was still hurt, still anger, still broken trust to repair, but it was a beginning, and sometimes that's enough.